Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited. Today we have Shivaun here. She's a physical therapist and also an online entrepreneur. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks so much for having me, Miriam. I'm happy to be here. And yes, I have my doctorate degree in physical therapy, and I currently practice in the hospital setting in acute care. And I have always been about service. I think that's just been really ingrained in me. And I have found a new way to be of service with my online business in the entrepreneurial space. And I'm just excited to share more about that with you since I know, Miriam, you have a similar background too.
Yeah, yeah. I think we definitely have that in common. I'm an OT. I worked in healthcare for a long time, in all different areas, orthopedic therapy and pediatrics and all kinds of stuff. So we have that in common, and that just the heart to serve and make a positive impact in people's lives, right? Be a part of their healing journey, if you will. I think we have a very similar, passion in that way. So with your journey as an entrepreneur, as a woman in business, I'd love to just hear your story, share with us kind of, how you got started, where you got started, and what has that journey looked like? Maybe a couple things you learned along the way.
Okay, yeah. So with physical therapy, I really enjoy my career still, and I enjoy practicing. But I kind of got to this point where I was feeling a little burnt out. I was just kind of going through the motions, and for those people in the therapy world, you can kind of understand like there's some people that the patients, the clients you're working with, they don't necessarily want to get better or put in the work to make a change for the better. And it can be a little draining. It can be a little challenging at times. And so I was looking for a way to get a little bit more joy, a little bit more fulfillment in my life while being able to be more present at home with my family. I have two young boys, and, and I came across this opportunity, this business opportunity. And I have always been, especially since I got pregnant, I've always been about clean living and getting rid of the toxins in our home, making sure we're bringing in organic and clean like food and products in our home. And that started when I was pregnant with my first son. When you go to the doctor and they're like, you shouldn't have this, you should stay away from these type of skincare, or don't eat sushi, like all these different things, and you're just like, what in the world? Like maybe I shouldn't be eating or doing those things in the first place. Like why now when I'm pregnant am I hearing these things? So that's a whole nother topic. But that's kind of how I started with the clean living aspect. And when I came across this opportunity to be part of a newer company, women-led company that was really setting out to disrupt the wine industry, bringing more transparency to the wine industry and putting out a better for you product for the consumer, but also for the environment, for our earth. So that's kind of in a nutshell how I got involved once I found out more about the company. I just knew everyone needed this information. And that's how I feel like that service aspect has come in, because I really feel passionate about sharing and providing education to people so they can make a better choice of what they're bringing into their home or what they're putting in their bodies.
Yeah, and that's so important. I think there's still a lot of people that either they wanna ignore it because it feels overwhelming, or they just literally have no idea what all of these things are that are just added into our foods and beverages and just even in the packaging processes and things like that that um we should be aware of and probably shouldn't be happening. But that's like you said, that's a whole nother discussion for another time. But I really resonate with that because that's something that I learned about when I had my first baby, and she was like 1 and she had some horrible eczema. And
think you're back on.
Is it working?
Yeah, I can see your camera.
Okay. I can kind of edit a little bit, that middle. Well, hopefully it will hold out for us here. Where did it cut off? I don't know where it stopped.
You started to say people, it's overwhelming to people, or they just don't want to know, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, sometimes I think people don't want to know what's in things. They sort of want to live in denial because it might be feel a little overwhelming, right? Or literally, I think still many just have absolutely no idea what's been added into our foods, beverages, so on and so forth. Even just things we put on our skin, all that. But like you said, that's a discussion for another day. But I feel the same way that you do, very passionate about that because it really does impact our well-being in so many ways. And that's kind of where my journey began in kind of transitioning from a traditional healthcare practitioner to more of a, I call myself a holistic therapist now, to bring in those other pieces of our well-being because it really does have a huge impact. When my first daughter was little, she was about 1, she had some horrible eczema issues, and that was the beginning of where I started learning about all of those things and realizing that yeah, they can prescribe, the steroid ointment, but on the back of the package I was like, I don't want my 1-year-old to have these side effects. So then that started my journey of researching, and over the years I became certified in different areas of nutrition and all the things because I realized healing begins with changing some of those small little things every day, and all those small things, they add up. So I
Yeah.
definitely resonate with you in that area so much. Okay, so will you share with us a little of what are a couple of things that maybe you found really challenging or difficult as an entrepreneur as you were beginning to learn about business and stuff? I don't know about you, but when I started, I my degree is in healthcare. I have, master's in, healthcare, human biology, all that stuff, and I just wanted to help people. So when I started in business, I had absolutely no clue how to like run a business, start a business, do marketing, overcome objections and just all these other things that you don't learn. You don't have to do that as a healthcare professional. So share with us what your things were and what helped you through that.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely agree. Like going to physical therapy school, I feel like there should also have been like this whole section on like psychology and how to work with people and interact with people, because that's a big part of our career too, is a lot of these people that we come across are have emotional components with their physical components and issues that are going on. So yes, I feel like that's been a big point of learning more about myself and like how to interact with people, how to have good relationships with people. When you go into business for yourself, I feel like you really grow, like you really become on the track to your best version of yourself because you have to be in order to be successful and continue to grow and move forward with things. And I was just talking about, you have to step out of your comfort zone. And I know that is a big thing for people they do not want to do. And I think once I was able to do that, take that risk and recognize that, I'm not going to be great at this in the beginning. Like you said, I don't have the business training background. And so being able to recognize that I'm going to suck at this. And I've heard people say that, embrace the suck in the beginning and understand that this is going to be a learning process and you may fail. And I'm an Enneagram 3, and what people think of me and being an achiever, like those are big parts of my who I am. And so that was a big risk for me is what if I fail and other people are going to see that and what are they going to think of me? So moving through that, that's kind of how I grew myself too, is moving through some of those challenges I felt in the beginning was just all really internal things that I had to work through to just get over myself and really start focusing on others and how I could be of service, how I could be helpful to them.
Mhm.
And once I was able to do that, then I really felt more success and more at ease, like taking, turning them, not looking at myself, looking at others first. And challenges along the way have really been discipline and consistency because they're, of course, working for yourself. You're not just clocking in, clocking out, and getting a paycheck. So there are days that I don't want to sit down and put in the work, or maybe there's days that I'm just not feeling very creative and posting content and getting in front of new people on social media. So really building in that part of my routine, like that's just what I do now. Like this is just part of my daily schedule of how I work and how I go about things and being disciplined to stick to that, right?
Yeah, yeah. So many good little gold nuggets in there of knowledge. We really have to give ourselves a lot more grace, I think. Especially if you're doing anything that's new, anything. It could be a new sport, or if you're starting weightlifting, or you're starting whatever, anything that you're starting, a business. You have to understand that you are going to make mistakes. I think a lot of people forget that anybody who's been successful at anything has failed a lot of times, hundreds, if not thousands of times. And one of my favorite quotes is fail forward. Every failure is an opportunity to learn every single time. Is it easy? No. Is it fun? Not always. And what I've heard so many different stories of different entrepreneurs, successful people. One of my favorites is Thomas Edison. He failed at creating like the light bulb thousands. I think it was like almost 2,000 times. I have to go look at the number again, but
Hmm.
before he finally did it. And the difference between the average person that quits and throws in the towel when it gets tough and the person that succeeds 99% of the time, it's because they chose to use that mistake, failure, whatever you want to call it, as a stepping stone. Okay, that didn't work. Let's see what we can do to change it up and do it slightly differently or whatever and try again. Did they do the exact same thing thousands of times? No, they made adjustments to improve, to figure out a different strategy, a different way, a different, whatever, so that they could continue to move forward. And that's really a big difference between your average person versus those who do well in whatever their field is. That's always stood out to me. And on the days where I'm tired, I feel a little burnt out, my kids woke me up 20 times in the night or whatever, and I remind myself like, okay, you know, take a day, maybe take a day off, refresh, give yourself a little breather, and then, pick yourself up and be like, okay, how can I fail forward? How can I learn from this?
Right. Well, and that's the great thing about having your own business and being, in business for yourself is that you do set those terms, like it is on your terms, which I love having a young family and wanting to be more present at home. Like that's been fantastic. But that's where you really have to shift your mindset. And I think a lot of people struggle with that in the beginning because you're not exchanging time for money directly. So people who have a W-2 job and who are, used to that clocking in, clocking out, they want that to be equal, so to speak. So in the beginning, I may be putting in more time and not in my quote paycheck, my income isn't really reflecting how much time I've put in. But that's where the mind shift has to happen. And I've mentored some other women who that's another passion of mine too, is just helping other women and moms just realize like you don't have to be stuck where you're at. Like there are ways to change your circumstances, and you don't necessarily have to leave your full-time corporate job or career. But there are ways to have better and have more. And that's a big shift for people though. And it's hard for them to really see that, like, oh, well, I'm creating content, I'm reaching out to people, I'm going to like some networking events just to get out in front of more people and market. And if they aren't having immediate success or tons of money coming in, then it's hard for a lot of people to want to continue on. So being able to, I guess, forecast, like really look forward and see like, okay, this is my goal, this is where I want to get to. And having that why and having that like purpose. I was just posting about this on Instagram today. Like a lot of people, it doesn't work for them. Like they're not getting the results they want because they're not laser focused on what they're trying to create or what they really want, what their why is, why they're going after this. Because yeah, as soon as things get tough, as soon as like they get a no or they have a mistake, then it's easy for people just to be like, oh, this wasn't for me. This isn't, this doesn't work. And that's just sad to see that people don't have more belief in themselves or just more, I don't know, what would you call it? Just more determination to
Perseverance.
keep at something.
Okay.
Perseverance. There you go. Yes, perseverance.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that part of it is also just what people see online of people that appear to be, successful or seem to be successful. They don't see how much effort was put in. And, behind the scenes, they don't see that. So they kind of assume people have, I think, often this mindset that all they have to do is what they see someone else doing, like online, or whatever, what they
Mm-hmm.
see on the surface of someone who's done well, and they don't know all of the behind the scenes. And like you said, we have to work on our own beliefs. We often have these limiting beliefs we don't even realize are there, also on what we're capable of, on our own value, on our confidence and ability to show up well for the people we want to serve. All of those different things, they all play into it. And a lot of people don't realize that when they start a business. Part of that journey, like you said, it's actually a personal development, professional development, and personal development are like this. We're on that
Yeah.
as we start a business. That's part of that journey. For most people, we have to kind of work through that stuff, and it's an investment in ourselves and an investment in our ability to serve our people well. But people don't always think of it as an investment. They think of it as, I want a return on my time. I spent an hour. I want a paycheck, right? Instead of thinking this is an investment, like investing in stocks and, financial investments, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put a lot of money in. You need, usually is a good chunk of investment, and that it could be years before you get a return on that, right? A lot of people don't
Right.
know that most businesses, it takes an average of about 4 years, sometimes a little bit longer, to actually build momentum where a business is in the profitable zone, which means, the profits are outweighing the investment expense, the startup expense, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know that. And that's true for online businesses, in-person businesses, anything. And I think I had a big learning curve when I first started. I didn't
Yeah,
know
and I think that's
like
a
most
that's
things.
a kind of a I try to do it on social media. Like I try to portray that as well. Like this isn't easy. This isn't just like make money quick kind of thing. Like because I think, like you said, some people portray uh oh, this side gig or this new product that just sells itself, and that's where we kind of get in trouble.
Yeah, and in reality, the majority of people are not going to be able to just share something online and have hundreds of people, buy that. And in reality, unless you already have a really big, audience or something like, if
Hmm.
you're a celebrity or whatever, something like that. most people, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's something important to understand. But well, thanks for
Mhm.
being here today and taking the time. Any last like little thought or insight you want to share? Something that maybe you wish someone had told you when you first started, or just, I don't know, something that's encouraged you?
Yeah, I would say being able to make it your own, kind of how you alluded to earlier, like people look online and see maybe what someone else is posting and compare that to where they're currently at or what they're wanting to do. And I think when I first started out too, I did kind of look to others and looked for inspiration that way. Um, but I think where I've had the most success and where I've really been able to stick with it and really be successful is making it uniquely my own. So doing, someone could go buy our clean crafted wine or coffee from, my next door neighbor, but the person, and they're going to trust you and get to know you and want to be a customer of you. Like you have a unique story. We all have a unique story. And that's what's going to really set you apart uh, when you are starting a new business and when you are marketing online or in person. Like a lot of people, a lot of customers want to get to know you as a person before they're going to want to buy from you or to have your services.
Yeah, yeah. That's really good. And I think that, that's something I had to learn too is, a lot of times people don't really care that much about what you know. They care about why you're doing what you're doing, not what you know, not what you're doing per se. It's the why and the story that your journey, your story behind it, that has is so powerful to impact people and creates that connection. Okay, so if you would like to connect with Shivaun, you can connect on Instagram at Shivaun.Carter, and I'll put it down here for you guys. And or if you're listening on the podcast, I'll put it in the description. And then if you want to taste some of the delicious clean crafted wine and all the goodies that she has going on, make sure that you go check out her website, scout.direct, excuse me, /Shivaun Carter. And then she has a little quiz so she can help you find the best fit for you and what's really going to help you out with what you need. So thank you again for your time today. I appreciate it. All right, my asthma's a little funky today. So excuse my little throat, but appreciate you so very much.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. This was really fun. I love connecting with other women who are in the same background and kind of how we've really evolved and what we're doing now. So this was great.
Yeah, I love these conversations, and I really think in today's world, we're coming to a time where it's you can have your traditional job and that's wonderful, but as moms, I think it's important to also take a step back and look at options that can be able to support your family from home too. And that's okay. I
Hmm.
think there was a time that was almost frowned upon in a way. Like people,
Hmm.
there was almost a stigma of like, oh, that online blah blah blah. Well, we're in a digital age now. We're in a whole
Yeah.
and, just like people say to diversify your investments and things, you can diversify your income too, and that's okay. Don't
Yes,
be afraid of
definitely.
Yeah, there might be a learning curve, and that's okay. It's okay if it feels hard. That's why we're here. People like Shivaun and I are here to support you and encourage you along the way. So hopefully this was really helpful for you whenever you listen. Whenever you do catch this, make sure you say hi, connect, and tell us what you appreciated, what your takeaway was. We would love to hear.